How much of a threat is AI to the Google Ads ecosystem? Are Google's days of dominance through the power of Google Ads completely finished because of the rise of systems like ChatGPT, where users are using AI to answer their queries? And what should you as a business owner be doing about this? Should you be preparing for the future where Google Ads is no longer a force and looking at alternatives, or are you perfectly safe using Google Ads for the foreseeable future? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down the impact of AI on the Google Ads ecosystem. First, we're going to see how viable it is that Google's business model gets wiped out by artificial intelligence in the coming years. Then we're going to understand how AI could change the Google Ads ecosystem. Then finally, we're going to analyze the doomsday scenario where Google could potentially be wiped out through the power of systems like ChatGPT and other AI chatbots that people are clearly using. So first of all, let's understand whether or not Google is currently under threat at the present, because all we hear on all the news stories and all the people talking is that ChatGPT and AI chatbots are going to destroy Google's business model. People kind of scoff and go, ha, imagine we used to click 10 blue links. Now we can talk to a super genius computer. Google's days are finished. But hold on a second. Google has just released their Q3 financial results. So if that was true, then their Q3 financial results would be looking pretty appalling, wouldn't they? Well, Google's Q3 results show a revenue of $56.6 billion. Now you might be thinking, hold on, that's a big number. Google always puts up big numbers, but I'm sure it's lower than the previous quarter or previous years, right? Wrong. It's roughly 15 billion up on the previous year. So ChatGPT has made leaps and bounds in progress in users coming on board and using the system and improvements in the technology itself. And in this period, Google year to year has gained $15 billion in Q3 year over year. Now, you might be thinking at this point, well, actually, yeah, I'm sure they might have grown revenue, but maybe, like that DOJ trial said, they turned the dial up and basically charge people more for their traffic and then grow their revenue that way, but they're not actually getting more traffic coming in. Well, maybe that could be true, but do you know what's also true? Google says overall and commercial queries grew quarter to quarter much faster than expected. So forget stagnation, forget decline. The growth of commercial and non-commercial searches grew from Q2 to Q3. So that doesn't sound to me like a system that's in decline if they're growing users between quarters on that kind of basis in a short term during a period where AI chatbots are really taking over, so to speak, taking over. So there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one is, of course, old habits die hard. People are used to going to Google, especially for commercial queries. Google, to me anyway, is just better at delivering the commercial side. Don't get me wrong. I use AI chatbots like ChatGPT every single day. They are very powerful, very helpful, and while they are massively underpriced, because they are underpriced, then I think it's worth using for everything I need it for. And it's something a lot of business owners are doing as well. So that is a fact. However, when I want to book a holiday, when I want to book a tradesman to come to my house and do some work, or if I do something direct with commercial intent, I was looking at getting solar panels the other day, then I'm going to go to Google. I'm not going to go to ChatGPT and outsource that kind of query to ChatGPT. And I'd imagine a lot of other people are the same. Secondly, ChatGPT's interface when using it for commercial intent queries just isn't that quick. It's pretty slow. First of all, it starts off with a very slow prompt. And secondly, when you get the results and you click onto the results to find out more or to make that phone call, the results take a long time to load. And the results can also be really inconsistent. I've had situations where using ChatGPT to kind of test out getting commercial queries, I put something in for a commercial query, the results come up, I click on the website, and the website's broken. Google at least de-indexes 404 websites. So ChatGPT is obviously using old training data to find these companies sometimes and pulling them in when their websites are clearly offline. And some of them, the websites were offline for a long time. So to me, the result quality is not as good. The user experience is not as good for commercial queries. So as much as some futurists and AI boosters laugh at the fact that we click 10 blue links, how silly is that? People are still doing it, and apparently more people are doing it than ever before. But that doesn't mean that AI won't change the Google Ads ecosystem. Yes, Google have got queries increasing, their revenues increased, but the impact of using Google Ads is going to be affected by AI, and here's how. First of all, let's start with Google Ads' own proprietary AI systems. You have campaigns like Performance Max, which is an AI-powered campaign. You have Broad Match, which is an AI keyword match type, which uses AI to help in its bidding algorithm as well. You, of course, have the toggle switch for search campaigns for AI Max. And, of course, the other thing as well is if you go into your recommendations tab and you look at all of these options like Performance Max, AI Max, use of Broad Match, Google calls these AI Essential. In fact, when you hover over the icon in Google Ads, it says, the AI Essentials are a set of recommendations that are designed to ensure that you have success with Google AI. It will not only help you build a strong measurement foundation, but also ensure that your marketing benefits from Google AI-powered campaigns. So Google themselves are AI boosters for their own systems, and I've talked about PMax in my last video, so check that video out if you haven't seen it. But just because they say it's the future and it's AI powered doesn't mean it's going to be good for every business. And in fact, a lot of people shouldn't be using these systems at all. So one of the impacts of AI on Google Ads actually is Google's own AI causing advertisers who don't know any better to lean into these AI systems heavily and end up with campaigns that don't work. They'll be asking themselves, I used Google's big-brained AI and I did everything they said that's an AI essential, but yet I'm just handing over money and burning it because I'm getting no results. And it's not just them trying to convince you to use these systems like PMax and AI Max and the others. It's also the actual generative AI in the Google Ads system. As mentioned, I use generative AI all the time when it comes to using ChatGPT for day-to-day tasks in my business. But Google also has generative AI in the Google Ads system. Google will write ads for you based on your URLs and keywords. And these ads absolutely suck. The copy is emotionless. It's completely bland. It's completely generic. It's almost like there's a lucky dip bin just reeling around all the kind of generic AI terms like elevate and things like that. It's awful, awful copy. And it's obvious to see why it's awful because Google knows nothing about your business really. Yes, it can scan your URL and look for key phrases to understand what kind of business you are in, but it doesn't understand your offer that well. It doesn't understand your unique selling points and benefits. It doesn't understand the trust signals you've got and the trust and reputation you've built up. So the copy is going to be generic. However, you can have success using ChatGPT to write compelling ads with the right prompts. So actually, this is more a case of Google's, I suppose, implementation of generative AI in their system being appalling, as opposed to actually generative AI being good or not at writing ads. Because generative AI, like ChatGPT, is actually really good at writing ads with the right kinds of prompt. All of these AI essentials are things that most advertisers probably shouldn't be using. Only those with high volume campaigns, with loads of conversion data in quite large enough markets should be using these AI essentials. They can work, and they do work, and I've seen them work, like Broadmatch and like AI Max works really well in some cases, and obviously PMax can work as well. But these are campaign types that require so much data in order for Google to know what to do. A lot of businesses just simply don't have enough conversion data for these kind of campaign types to work. So just ignore them. They are not essential. Don't let Google use your ad budget for their research and development. Yes, they want you to use these systems, but don't let them do it. Use what you need as an advertiser. Put your business's needs first, and don't care how many Google agents call you and tell you to use these systems. Only do what's right for your business and don't let your budget used for Google's research and development. So Google's dream of creating a system where all they need is your URL and a credit card and a black box that just delivers your ads in the right way, they're a long way off. We can clearly see in the system they're a long way off from that. So actually, things always happen more slowly than we think. But here's a thought. What if ChatGPT actually takes market share from Google? What if Google declines like 50% in the next 10 years as a result of ChatGPT and AI chatbots? Well, the Google Ads products will become incredibly competitive because you'll have a market where there are the same number of advertisers and 50% less customers potentially. So that's going to drive up the cost of the auction massively because there'll be more budgets and more businesses going after a smaller pool of customers, which means they have to bid more aggressively to meet the targets and the demands of the platform they need to get returns on. So what that materially means is that only the most optimized businesses will win. And by optimized, I don't just mean Google Ads campaigns, because 10 years from now, say for example, if OpenAI does take dominance in market share, we can also potentially assume 10 years from now, the Google Ads product is very different. There's going to be less buttons to push to optimize. There's going to be less levers of control. So well optimized will become kind of a small part of Google Ads. The other part is this, your website. You need to make sure your website's actually delivering on conversions, and the businesses with the best converting websites and the best sales processes to manage those leads are going to win the Google Ads war if that was the case. In a shrinking market, those who can't afford to play will be priced out, and the people who can't afford to play are the ones who can't convert clicks into leads and leads into sales as effectively. So what happens in that scenario then? Well, I just mentioned it. ChatGPT, potentially, if they took 50% of the market share from Google, will all of a sudden have a massive search platform. What do you think ChatGPT is going to do with that massive search platform? Well, they've already said they're already looking at advertising. They are looking at running ads on ChatGPT because it's going to give them revenue, and they need revenue. They are making unbelievable losses, like world record beating losses for businesses. If you thought Uber made big losses on the way to becoming profitable, think again. Microsoft revealed OpenAI lost $11.5 billion last quarter. Last quarter! That is insane. That is nearly 50% of what Uber lost on its path to growth from 2019 to 2022. And that was just one quarter. That loss was one quarter. They need to start bringing in revenue. So we know advertising on ChatGPT is coming. So what does that mean? It means there's no loyalty. There's no loyalty to Google Ads. You go where the customer goes. If the customer goes onto ChatGPT and there's an advertising option available to bid on keywords and search terms from people using ChatGPT, then that ads product will be used by professionals like myself and business owners watching this as well. I would advise you to keep on top of this because it's coming. There is going to be search advertising coming on ChatGPT. It's been confirmed in a number of stories over the years, and it's going to happen. So in reality, you just move where the customers move. If Google starts declining, don't panic because ultimately there will be other places customers will go to. If they're not using Google, they're using something else, and we need to be aware of that something else. Now, of course, this is the nuclear option. Google are very good at defending their monopolies. They're very good at making sure they stay number one. They'll do everything in their power to do this. And of course, they're launching their own AI initiatives as well, their own AI chatbots. They have these in place already. They'll continue to invest in them. And ultimately, maybe they're hoping people move from searching on Google in the normal way with Google Search to using Gemini for their queries as opposed to ChatGPT. And because they have the ecosystem, they have the Android devices, they have the Google Chrome browser, they have the Google Ads ecosystem already, they have the Google system, and they're trying to get AI mode to become a thing. They're hoping they can take dominance regardless, which means their advertising products will move over as well. So in conclusion, AI moves a lot slower than we think. Despite all the stories, things haven't really changed that much for Google in reality. But that doesn't mean change isn't coming. And when it does, it means there's going to be more pitfalls and traps within the Google Ads platform that business owners need to be aware of. When you see the words AI, take a pause and just decide whether or not you should be using these features. Quite often the answer is no, but for a lot of advertisers, it can unlock huge growth potential. It all depends on your circumstances and the volume of conversions in your business. And as for Google, as per the famous quote from Rocky, if he dies, he dies. If Google dies, it dies. And if you move on to something else, we'll do that. And as advertisers, we can't be loyal to a platform. And although we've learned how to develop leads and sales on this platform, there's no reason to think that you can't develop leads and sales and grow on another platform when it becomes available. And that's why you've got to get hands-on with it as soon as you can when it does happen. Because trust me, it will happen. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like below. Let me know in the comments if you're still using Google or are you using generative AI things like ChatGPT to get answers to your questions. I'm still team 10 blue links for commercial queries, but ChatGPT for pretty much everything else. But let me know in the comments. And as I say, like this video, don't forget to subscribe and check out the content on the channel. And I'll see you guys on the next one.